thanks for joining me on Food of the Pharaohs. Today we're making kibbeh. Now kibbeh actually originated in Syria, but Egyptians make it as well. Basically what we do is we food process all the meat and then we bake it. So it's super simple, super easy to do, and I'm going to show you how to make it today. So here we go. We are going to cut up some parsley first, and basically you just want a rough chop because we are putting all of these ingredients in our food processor. I'm just kind of helping the food processor out a little bit. So a nice rough chop of parsley. All right, perfect. So we just pop that right in the food processor. All right. And then another thing that we're going to use in this dish is some dates. Now, this dish is a savory dish, so it's a little bit sweet and it's a little bit salty, and that's why I love it so much. So we're gonna do about maybe like 4 or 5 dates, and that's it. That's all you need. So we're gonna cut these up as well, and we're gonna pop these right in the food processor. I love this dish because it's like everything that I absolutely love right in a food processor. You mix it all up and it just comes out so good. My parents used to make it all the time for me when I was younger, and then for some reason they just stopped making it. Not really sure why, but maybe because it has a lot of garlic in it. I love garlic, so. All right, perfect. Now we are going to stick all of these dates right into our food processor. Perfect. And we're going to just put the food processor to the side, and I am going to grab my meat. Now our meat, we have ground turkey and ground beef. Traditionally, you can use lamb, or sometimes they'll use just ground beef, or they mix the two, ground beef and lamb. So what I did is I grated a little bit of carrot, and I'm just gonna grate this one left that I have here. I'm using baby carrots. I just feel like they're a lot sweeter than your regular one of those like big carrots, but feel free to use those as well. All right, perfect. And now we are going to use an onion. We're gonna grate that in there as well. So we're not gonna use this whole onion. This is a huge onion. So we don't want this whole thing, just a little bit. So you just wanna grate that in there. You gotta be careful though. And the reason why I'm grating it instead of dicing it up or throwing it right into the food processor is because I don't really want the chunks in there. I want the juice of the onion into my meat. It just brings out the flavor of the onion into this dish. So you just want to grate it. If you have a bigger grater, feel free to use that as well. This is all I have on hand right now, so this is what I'm using. All right, let's see if I can, whoa, got some big pieces in there. All right, use all your muscles for this onion. All right, perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're gonna grate a few garlic cloves, and I don't even know why I said a few because I mean a lot, and I love garlic. This is a little guy and I'm not attempting to do that, so we're gonna throw him right in there. And we're just grate that, and then the rest of it, you don't want to go too far on the grater because you don't want to cut your fingers. So now if you're not a big fan of garlic, or you're just scared of it being too garlicky, feel free to use just like 2 or 3 or even 1, or just skip it altogether. But I love garlic, like I said, so I'm going to use a lot. All right, let's do one more. Let's see if I can find a big one. All right. Whew. All right, perfect. All right, now what we're gonna do is add our seasoning to this. So in here, my little jar, I have allspice, coriander, cumin, a little bit of pepper, salt, red pepper flakes, and cinnamon. So if you wanted to, you can add a little bit of sugar to it. It's totally up to you. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour this whole thing in there. And then also I have accent salt. I always put accent salt on everything that I make because I just feel like it just brings out all the flavors of the ingredients that I'm putting in here. So just a sprinkle of that. And then we're also going to add a little bit of tomato paste. So just a spoonful. That is perfect. It's getting stuck on my bowl. All right, now I'm getting dirty. So let's pull up the sleeves and get in there and kind of mix it up a little bit. And again, I'm just doing this to help the food processor out. Wow, this smells so good, and you can smell all those aromas like from the cinnamon and the cumin and the coriander. Like it just, like I really wish you guys can smell this right now. This is perfect. We're gonna add a little bit of olive oil to this. Just a little drizzle on there. And that is perfect. So we're going to cut up our walnuts. And this is another great thing that's in this dish because the walnuts give it that crunch. As soon as you're done cutting up these walnuts, we're going to throw this right into the food processor. All right, perfect. This goes right in there. So now we're going to food process our meat. We're going to just add a little bit at a time. This gets very messy, and unfortunately I don't have a really big food processor to do this in, so we gotta just use what we got. So basically you want to food process it until it turns into a paste. All right, and then what we do is we add a little bit of water to it. And this helps that paste texture that we need. So just a little bit of water, just any type of drinking water that you have. This is looking really good. So just a little bit more water. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our bulgur wheat right into the food processor with our meat. And we're also going to add just a little bit of water in there. And then we're going to just blend this all up. All right, that's perfect. All right, so as soon as you're done with that, we're going to put it in our baking pan. So what we did is we sprayed it with some cooking spray, and I already had a little bit of extra that I did, and I put it into my baking pan, and I just kind of cut it, which I'm going to show you how to do in just a little bit. And I added some walnuts to it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit more walnuts on top. It's almost kind of like a layer. And make sure you get all that meat out. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna just spread that right on top of our walnuts. Now, a lot of Egyptians, what they'll do is they'll actually take the kibbeh and they'll make little shells out of them and they'll put nuts in it. So they'll put like walnuts inside of it, or they'll put walnuts and pine nuts in there, or they do it just like this and they'll add it on top for a garnish. So once you get it all spread out, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it. So kind of like I did on the bottom, we're going to do the same thing on the top. You're going to make an X. And when you do it this way, it just makes life so much easier, especially when you present it, because you literally could just scoop it right out. You don't have to cut it as soon as it comes out the oven. And then we'll do this. So you want nice triangles. And then as soon as you're done with the triangles, we're gonna add the rest of our walnuts. So we're gonna just kind of add that on top. Perfect. And then we're gonna take some whole walnuts and we're gonna just kind of put a few right on top. That's beautiful. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in the oven for about 25 minutes on 350, and then we'll see you right back after it's finished. So our kibbeh's all finished. It's nice and brown on top. I put it in the broiler for maybe about like 10 minutes, and it came out so good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just try it to see how it tastes. Super excited. And let's see. Yep, you can taste all the flavors. That crunch from the walnut, a little bit of that parsley, definitely the garlic. That's always a good thing. Thanks guys for joining me on Food of the Pharaohs. We'll see you on the next episode. Until then, take care.